Hey, what is up everyone? It's me, your friendly neighborhood fellow geek, The Film Chronicles. And in this video today, I'm going to be giving you guys a full spoilers review for A Quiet Place Part 2. I figured there's been enough time for the movie brewing in theaters for you guys to have seen it, or at least given in and read some spoilers, unless you're really preserving that theater experience, which I fully recommend for this movie, preserving of that theater experience. And we're also getting through the pandemic, so now things are becoming a little more normal and civilized once again. So, go out there and see it. But before we get into that, I just want to take some time to celebrate the fact that I just broke 100 subscribers.
Everybody put your hands in the air.
So thank you to all the 100 subscribers so far. I hope to get more. I hope you guys who are trickling in and seeing this channel and this content for the first time, I hope you guys are liking it. And if you guys are, smash the like button, hit the subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so that way you guys never miss a video. So let's just get into this one right now. Full spoilers ahead, so beware and go in at your own risk. So with A Quiet Place Part 2, we actually start off with day 1 or day 0, however you want to put it. We are introduced to the Abbott family once again. This time they are at their son's baseball game, and we do see a pretty nice little heartwarming scene before things go to shit. So essentially they use their communication via sign language to kind of calm down the son. That was just something I thought was a neat little callback to the fact that their daughter is deaf and uses sign language to communicate with everybody, and they all also know that. So I think that kind of showcased the closeness, of course. And then we actually get more glimpses of the beginnings. Well, I don't even think I should say glimpses. They're more like little snippets of just pieces of information that we get, via background when he's in this little small store getting the oranges for the rest of the team. So basically what's going on that screen there, if you guys haven't seen this movie, is that a meteor has crash landed in the Earth's atmosphere, but presumably that meteor broke off into separate pieces and it started to hit different spots on Earth. I believe, from my recollection, the first point of contact was actually in Shanghai. So that's where the first bit landed, and that's where everything starts to really go down with the aliens coming off of it. And I believe John Krasinski confirmed on the Quiet Place Part 1 that the aliens came off of this meteor. So there's more story there, because the question is, why were they even on this meteor to begin with? Are they such a species that uses that way to invade, other planets or whatever? But it doesn't seem that way, and I'll kind of get into that more as I explain the plot itself. So stay tuned. Midway through the game, they all see pieces of the meteor in the skyline, and one of them crashes in their town or near the town itself, and multiple others we see go through the sky at different locations, as I said earlier. And once that happens, they all start to disperse and try to get home, but it's already too late, as we see one of the most intense opening sequences I think in a long time that we've seen for a horror sequel itself, on that. And another thing that I should note before I get ahead of myself here is that this opening scene also executes the introduction of Emmett, which is a really big character in this movie, played by Cillian Murphy, who just killed it in this role. The townspeople have no chance. They get absolutely ransacked. Stores are broken into. People are attacked and killed. And as an audience, we know that they're able to do this because they have hypersensitive hearing, so they're just tracking everything via sound. They're just getting everything because everyone's in a panic. And right off the bat, we see Lee Abbott himself start to recognize this and utilize this information for him and his daughter. Although we get this really intense scene where they're in a diner trying to avoid one of them, and unfortunately for them, one of the girls in the restaurant, her phone goes off, and they're absolutely demolished as Lee manages to escape with his daughter and get them going. But they run into another creature, or the same creature if I'm, not recollecting this correctly. Forgive me, I saw it basically on opening day and I haven't really been back since, but I want to. But once they run into this creature again, shout out to my boy Ronnie, Officer Ronnie I should say. He tries to defend them one last time with his shotguns, but because they have impenetrable skin, it does absolutely nothing, since we learned in the last movie that you have to make them vulnerable in order to hurt them. That's the only way you can get their flesh. R.I.P. Ronnie. Back in the present, we pick up where we left off in A Quiet Place Part 1, with the Abbott family forced to leave, although we're given a little more depth as to what they did before they left their previous home. So now with him on the road, they're looking for a new place to find shelter. They come across a fenced off area with what seems like some shelter that they could possibly stay in, at least for the night, until they try to go and find more supplies, maybe other survivors. But unfortunately for the son Marcus, he runs into a trap, alerting more creatures to their presence. He begins to run in a panic, and he's not aware of his surroundings, and unfortunately he runs into a gnarly bear trap, and it just absolutely mangles his foot. It's one of the most harrowing scenes, with Noah Jupe acting his butt off with his blood curdling screams of pain that you really just buy into, even though we know this is just special effects and Hollywood makeup. But it was just so well done, and it adds to more to their problem and to that panic, because they already alerted it with this loud noise trap. Now they have the son in pain, screaming, trying to not scream so that way the creatures aren't able to find all of them super quickly. But they have their device that they figured out how to use with Lee's instructions, and they use it to their advantage, killing one of the aliens with ease. All the while, someone's watching them the whole time, and they actually stumble upon Emmett, who is actually the new character. And it's such a really well done scene, because he doesn't want them to know exactly who he is. But Evelyn eventually gets it out of him to pull off his mask and show his face to the family, as they were friends with Emmett and his wife and their sons, presumably having relations with the Abbott family and then being family friends. So we actually get that really well done scene. Cillian Murphy acted his butt off with not wanting them to help, because he knows the responsibility that comes with it. It's only until Evelyn reveals that they have a new baby, and there's still hope that things can go right and things can be back to normal, hopefully, right? I mean, you have to hold out on that at least. And I think another interesting thing to note is that within this scene, probably a couple minutes later, Evelyn asks Emmett if he knew that it was the signal fires at the Abbott's family farm, and he admits that he knew that it was their fires, but he just did not go. And he does show remorse for not being able to go and help them during those fires, or at least show that someone was close by and alive. And we also find out for Emmett that his sons did end up passing, whether as to how they died by aliens or some other way, it wasn't really established. And I got to rewatch it just to get more detailed information, particularly about these questions and these thoughts that I have. So once that comes out on DVD, or when it comes out on streaming on Paramount Plus, I'll eventually watch it a couple more times and redo a video where I discuss all the things that I've noticed and you might not have noticed, so be on the lookout for that. But moving on, in Emmett's little sanctuary, the kids find a radio that continues to play a song called Beyond the Sea. And with Reagan having taken Lee's information about the radio frequencies that he was tracking, she figures out that this is possibly a reference to an island that's off the sea right near where they're at. So she decides to go and look for this herself. Evelyn eventually finds out and pleads and implores Emmett to go and find her and return her safely, while she, Marcus, and the baby stay at the sanctuary in order to stay safe, and also because Marcus' foot is absolutely destroyed by the trap that Emmett laid, so we also have that. While Reagan goes on her own, she comes across a train with a bunch of corpses in it, and it's a really well done scene, but because she can't hear, she doesn't notice that an alien is in the same train as her, approaching her slowly. She's able to get the jump on the creature by pulling out the cochlear implant and using the amplifier to pretty much make it vulnerable again, like we saw in the first one. And she's not able to use the shotgun and hit him correctly, but to her luck, Emmett's there to rescue her. He pleads with her to go back. He doesn't know sign language, so he's having trouble communicating, but she pretty much appeals to his sense of duty and makes him go because of the father and what he owes to Lee as a friend of the family. So he agrees to go with her and try to figure this out, while Evelyn, back at the foundry or the steel plant, she sets out to find more medical supplies in order to clean Marcus's wound and help him be more mobile. But while she does that, Marcus goes exploring and finds Emmett's wife's corpse decaying and rotting in a bed under a sheet, and showcasing just how broken and how much Emmett has really lost during this time, more so than the Abbott family, I would say, because he almost lost everybody and he's kind of just all alone. But because Marcus knocks over more items, he alerts yet another alien creature to come. He's able to lock himself and the baby in their secluded area, but he forgets a failsafe to at least let them out, and they pretty much end up in a more dire situation than they realize, because oxygen is going to be running out very shortly, and they only have a limited supply, which is another thing that Evelyn went out for. All the while that's going on, Reagan deduces that they need to take a boat in order to get to the island, so they go to a local marina that they know about. But when they go, they come across some pretty strange and interesting humans. I'm not sure if they were affected by not having access to fresh water and having to be around seawater, but they were pretty disgusting looking. Actually, they looked rashy. They looked like they had some pimples and lumps on their face, and they were very feral, and they were pretty much set a trap in order to capture Emmett and take Reagan for whatever reason we don't know about. The mind goes to very dark places, and I think that was the intention of the scene, because we don't get a lot from this group of humans. We don't know what they're gonna do. They could eat her, they could keep her hostage and whatever, but it's a really well done scene. He signals to Reagan to dive into the water. He uses the trap that was set on him to his advantage by making noise and attracting creatures to attack the group of feral humans, and it works out to his advantage. He takes the leader, he holds him in front of him, he stabs him in the thigh, and he's able to make him scream, thus attracting a creature directly into him. That creature jumps right onto that guy, demolishes him, but actually drowns in the water. And that's something new that we got about this movie and about the lore and the creature itself, is that they can't survive and they can't swim in the water. So big piece of information, along with the fact that they can make them defenseless by amplifying feedback to disrupt their ears, much like a dog or a cat with their super sensitive hearing. You play something too high pitched, they're going to kind of freak out. So it's very similar, but obviously the creature design is more feral. Although one creature gets away by jumping onto a boat that they were going to use initially until they were attacked and pretty much almost taken away and killed by this group. Emmett and Reagan are able to find another boat to get to the island across the way from them, and once they arrive, they discover that they actually were correct. And by they, I mean Lee and now Reagan, having completed his theory that there are people there. And they're there living a normal society. They were able to figure out that the aliens couldn't swim early on because of the Coast Guard that came and gave them the plan, because they knew via other places being attacked first and them having more information, since we don't know exactly when they were attacked in this whole thing, because Shanghai is presumably the first initial point of contact, so we don't know where the second, the third, and so on and so forth. So it's possible that different places have gotten information just like this in order to get some sort of number of survivors out and into various islands off of the coast, so that way no alien can get to them. And we can only imagine and theorize at this point, but I'm sure we'll get some confirmation very soon as to various groups of survivors or of sorts. So we'll see. But this group is where we get Jaemin Hansu's character, who has pretty much taken a refuge in trying to get things to be seemingly normal, and he has done a pretty good job. I mean, the community seems to be thriving. They have their source of food with the fish in the water and other local ways to harness food, and they seem to be doing good and trying to keep the semblance of normalcy, I guess you can say. And things have seemingly taken a turn for the worse with Marcus and his baby brother, as his oxygen supply is running severely low and they are in an airtight chamber with no other source of oxygen. So Marcus decides that they need to share the little mask of oxygen between them, and at the very last moment before Marcus realizes that he's probably gonna die or the baby's gonna die, he decides to make a choice and save the baby brother and give him all the oxygen while he passes out and is slowly succumbing to oxygen asphyxiation. But both unlucky and lucky to him, his mother arrives only to find the creatures around them. She distracts him enough to go and free her boys. Simultaneously, back on the island, Emmett has noticed the boat has shown up on the shore of the island, the same boat that the alien escaped on when they attacked him at the docks. So that creature is now on the island somewhere. He goes to try and warn everybody and get them to get out of there and get back inside, but it's already too late. This one alien just goes on a rampage, but the colony leader, Jaemin Hansu's character, is smart, on his toes. He gets in a car, honks the horn, he distracts him with Emmett and Reagan. until they stop at the radio station, which is where Reagan needs to be in order to put the grand plan in place of broadcasting the signal, so hopefully other survivors can use it to their advantage and attack the aliens back. But unfortunately for Jaimin Hansu's character, he begins to worry about the son that he has back at the camp and the others, and to my disappointment, he was taken out fairly quickly by the creature that was chasing the car, as it's already there hunting them down via sound. So he's out of the picture, and he was only in there for about, not even 8 minutes, I would say. But a great presence, and I love Jaimin Hansu as an actor, so I was hoping for a little more. With that being said, Reagan and Emmett try to get to the actual broadcast equipment that they need, and it all goes kind of shitty. They get attacked. Emmett realizes that he needs to be a distraction and maybe die in order for Reagan to do this. At the very last minute, Reagan's able to figure it out, and she does it and attacks the creature that is attacking Emmett, saving his life because he is hurt pretty bad at this point. And at the same time, Marcus finds the strength and uses the signal that he hears in the headphones to distract the alien that's about to kill his mother, and shoots that alien in the face. And then the film's over, pretty much. The ending just leaves you wanting more. It's one of those endings that I wish didn't really happen, but at the same time I'm happy it happened, because that's a good place to cut off. It's a good place to introduce the fact that, hey, we are going to get a third movie to cap off the trilogy. And if you guys didn't know, now you know, there's confirmation of a spin-off written by John Krasinski, or at least based off a story written by John Krasinski for this universe, and directed by Jeff Nichols, who did Midnight Special. And the ending also positions things for the third film. We have Reagan and Emmett separated from Evelyn, Marcus, and the baby brother. So that's a very, easy story to follow. So, it's not going to be very hard to see where this third film can go. Although they can always mix it up, because with The Quiet Place Part 2, I didn't really know what we were getting into. I just knew we were getting something very, very unique, and I had very high hopes, and this movie satisfied those high hopes. I have some complaints. I'll get into those in a little bit. I more want to talk about the alien species, because we do get some information on them. So we find out that in this film, the Coast Guard and the Army figured out that they can't survive in water, so that's another disadvantage that they have being on Earth. We also learned that they came on a meteor that broke off into separate pieces, so we don't know exactly what the number of these creatures are. Another thing that I just came into mind is that we don't know if these creatures reproduce asexually, if there's a queen that's birthing eggs a la aliens, or we don't really know exactly how the species work. We don't know why they don't really necessarily eat the humans or harvest them or whatever. They're just a very much predator by nature alien that attack and kill everything in sight, rather than have kind of an ultimate plan. And it's possible that there is a queen alien of some sorts, or there's also possible that they just produce on their own, or there's some other crazy explanation that Krasinski has in mind. And another thing to think about is that there is possibly more remnants of armies available and around, and trying to figure out how to do this as well. So with Reagan broadcasting this transmission, it's possible that they can use it to their advantage too. So it's interesting to think about where A Quiet Place Part 3 will likely go. I think we'll definitely see more survivors, not a ton, but definitely a few more characters added to the film, just to showcase other areas of people surviving, whether it's on an island or somewhere in a bunker like Emmett has been for this movie. So I give A Quiet Place Part 2 a 9 out of 10. I had a really fun time with it. I love getting more but less of the information that we need to have for a universe like this. I think it's a lot of care and a lot of thought into it, as to not just spoil it and let us kind of keep guessing and keep theorizing as fans. I love that, and it's been something that has always been done for horror movies and alien movies alike. I mean, I mentioned aliens earlier. Just think about all the theories for aliens, and the whole xenomorph mythology. So now we're getting another, thing like that, and that's very exciting. But with the waste of Jaimin Hansu and the very abrupt ending, I have to take off a point. That's just my own personal opinion, so I hope I didn't really offend anybody by giving it a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. But that's where I stand with A Quiet Place Part 2. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little talk about this film and what it brought to the table. I hope you guys get the chance to see it in theaters. If not, it's going to be on streaming on Paramount Plus, or just find another way to watch. And just so you guys don't forget, I will be making a separate video on all the things that you guys might have missed in this film, so that way we can discuss it more. Once it's available for home viewing, I'll have it on DVD and I'll take more notes and we'll get into those details. But for now, enjoy this spoilers review. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for clicking on this video. Thank you for the 100 subscribers, and I hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you on the next video.